All right, so we're going to talk about how to pause the overwhelm. Now, if you're watching this, I'm just wanting you to check into your body. Are you able to get there? Or is it like, oh, I'm up here and I have a lot going on and I'm just going to check out. I'm going to listen to Phaedra and learn what she's teaching today. Have you been up here? Can you even get down to your feet? Can you get down to your feet and feel into your feet? Because if you can't, then that means you're out of your body a little bit. And we want to get you back in because that's where the healing comes from. The healing comes from quieting the mind. And I'm not talking meditation because quite frankly, meditation is pretty much impossible for me. I don't know if you guys have that problem at all, but it's just I have a very busy mind, a very activated nervous system. And well, actually, I don't have much more of that anymore. I've been working on it very strongly. And that's what I do with people because we get so busy in our brains. It's either like what pinball machine, like all over the place, or ping pong back and forth. And we just have to pause and we learn to listen to our body because our body is giving us signals. It's giving us signals that, hey, we really, really need to slow down. And so with that, were you able, and you guys see the chat box on the bottom, I want this to be participatory because we can't go at this alone because we can be here in our head and it's our little jail cell. We beat ourselves up, we have negative self-talk, we try to please everybody, we worry about what other people think, and going through our lives, going through work, going to holiday parties with families, worrying about everybody else, we've got to put the brakes on. And we've got to work on ourselves first, because if not, it's like we've got the foot on the gas and the foot on the brake, and you just don't get anywhere. And then what happens? You get sick. Your back gives out, you go into spasm and you can't move. That means you can't go to work. So we've got to listen to our bodies, right? Yeah. So let's just take a minute and I'm going to slow it down, slow it way down so we can be in here now and bring your awareness to the chair or the bed or the floor underneath you. And you might notice that you're a little busy up there, and that's okay. So feel the support of the furniture that you're sitting on or laying on. Notice if there's an urge to switch off and go to another app or switch to something else or turn the TV on. Maybe the TV's on. Those are all things that are bombarding your perception, bombarding your sensory system, bombarding your nervous system. And it's in this quiet moment that our stuff comes up. And when I work with clients, I want to know your history. I want to know everything, not just present moment. I want to know how your childhood was. I want to know what those defining moments were as a child. I want to know what falls, what injuries you've had. I want to know how your parents treated you. Did you feel safe in your home? Because that's where our belief systems, that's where our behavior starts to get developed in our patterns of how we are being. So then just bring your awareness to all the bones of your body. All the bones of your body. Can you get there? Front to back, left to right, top to bottom. Yeah. And now, notice all your muscles of your body. First of all, can you feel all of them? You don't have to know them. I just want you to bring your awareness to. You got your bones, they're solid in you. You've got your muscles. And I'm curious if they're bracing. Are you kind of like ready to do something? And it could be so subtle. That bracing can be there. It can really challenge us. Yeah. So I'm curious now, we've got our bones, we're feeling them, we're feeling our muscles. Was that okay for you? Or was that a challenge? And again, I invite you to put your question and answers in the question box there. I want you to put in the chat what you're feeling right now. Are you able to get in there, or there's some areas that might be challenging? Or there's some areas that are just screaming loud. Maybe that's the right sciatic pain that's running down your leg that you can't get rid of. And that's where our brain just gets wired to the pain. It gets wired to the busy. It gets wired to the overwhelm. So if we can just take these little pausing moments, and it's not a lot. It doesn't take a lot, but it does take awareness, and for you to just say, okay, I'm going to hit the pause button. I need to stop for a minute. I need to like go in the bathroom stall and hide. I need to just hide in my room, put a blanket over my head, just to take out the sensations, all the noise, the bright lights. Turn off the phone. I have a box and I could just put my phone in it every night. And this is becoming a problem with a lot of my clients, right? So you can take the phone and you put it in the box and it's out of sight. It's out of sight. You don't have to worry about it. Turn the ringer off, turn the vibration off. But it's a challenge and you're going to resist that urge. But that's all the outside world. Everywhere, Facebook or whatever your choices are, being on the internet and searching and buying or whatever it is. All those summits. A lot of clients are saying, I'm so overwhelmed. I can't keep up with the summits. I'm on all these email lists. I need to get off of them, right? Just manage that. Turn the phone off. Even just for a break, your brain will change because it's this instant gratification. And then we go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. It starts to mess with our brain and we get really activated and we can't settle into our bodies. So that's why I started it with you today. Okay. So it's not about meditation and sitting and being quiet. It's just noticing what's ever going on. So I think about this weekend, I was out at a festival. It was an art festival and it was crowded and there were people walking around and I didn't. So I wanted to walk out away from the traffic. So I got on the sidewalk. And I could look from a distance because I needed a little break from all the commotion that's going on. So start paying attention to how your body responds. Are you someone who likes to be in crowds, or are you someone who likes to just, nope, I'd rather be home alone and stay there, right? So that's what happens with a lot of people. So this overwhelm thing, when I dig with my clients, and I've talked to many people today, and we dig, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And when we really go inside, that's when the stuff comes up. But we can't always do it alone, right? So that's what I do. I'm a co-regulator with people. Just like a mother soothes the baby, as a coach, that's what I do for people, because usually underneath the pain is the trauma. So I was working this week, I have a client who's a doctor, severe back pain. It got better. Then he goes back to work. And when my clients work with me, we text back and forth, we message back and forth. And all of a sudden the pain came back. It was tightened up his back again. Well, he was busy being a doctor. So I said to him, this is what I said, are you giving too much? And I want you to take this question and apply it to you. Are you giving too much? He was giving too much. Are you working too hard? Are you overcompensating? Do you feel you're not good enough? When you're writing a note, do you take your time and you have to get it just right instead of just doing it? Or, and this is a big one here, I want you to admit this if you do it, are you doing the work of others and not asking for help? Are you doing the work for others and not asking for help? Do you feel you need to fix them, whether it's your children, your adult children, whether it's your grandchildren, whether it's your boss, whether it's a coworker? This is a big one. You've got your job and you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, but that one person always comes up to your desk with their problems. You have to not worry about it, not worry about hurt or their feelings, because you have to protect yourself. So you tell them, hey, I can't help you right now, or call them out on it, or close your door. Whatever it takes, whatever courage you need, there'll be fear there. You won't want to do it, but that's the challenge. Because on that other side of fear, boom, is everything you want. So when that person's coming into your desk all the time, or they're calling you with their problems, I want you to start checking into your body and see what happens. What can you eliminate off your plate? What are you being a perfectionist about? And another thing is, can you even say no? Are you a person who doesn't really know how to say no? And again, I want to hear from you. If you don't mind putting in the chat box some of the things that you're experiencing. It's confidential here, so no one can see your names. But I'm curious. Can you say no? Are you just like an automatic yes to the point where you're going, and you can't say no, you forget, and then it's all of a sudden you crash and then you're hurting and then you need to stop? Because I want to tell you, it really is okay to say no. And especially with the holidays, we get extra bombardment of everything and activities and places to be. And heck, just sometimes it's traumatic just going back and being with your family of origin, sitting around the table, or I have to go. And every time I go, I just feel terrible and they don't respect me and it's just exhausting. You know what? It's really okay to say no. It is. It's really okay. It's okay. I don't know if you have a problem with that, but it's really about listening to your body and taking it easy, because usually when the overwhelm's there, you're in fight or flight. And that's fine, when it's stress. But let me tell you why stress kills, so to speak. It really is bad for us because it's our nervous system, so underneath our body. So let me just show you. This is our brain inside here. Inside, got my skin here, but underneath is my skull bones, my jaw. But my brain is inside that hole. My brain is in there. It's going to go all the way down the spine into the pelvis and the pelvic floor. So just try this right now. I want you to clench your jaw, but tune down into your pelvis. Do you clench it all? Do you brace it all? Do you walk really fast because you just got to get there? You're clenching, you're bracing, you're leading fast. I got to go. Right? So it's important to, when I work with clients, I teach you how to free up these on your own. But the point of this is, the story I'm trying to tell you is that you've got your nervous system inside these bones, which are underneath your skin and underneath your muscles, okay? And we have to treat them right. So when we absolutely are exhausted, but we say yes anyway, you're hurting your body. And it's fine if you're in your young youth, 20s, 30s, 40s, it starts to get a little harder. 50s starts to get a little harder. 60s, you start to feel it. And then that arthritis and the stenosis comes up. So when we say no, we honor our bodies, we honor ourselves. And to me, that whole put the mask on yourself thing, and your airplane is crashing, the mask comes down, put it on yourself first. It's a little played out. It is. And you heard me say this. But imagine you're on that plane, it's going down, and you go help everybody else. By the time you get 3, 4, 5 aisles in, you're dead. That's an extreme example, right? But that's what happens when you can't say no. But then here's what happens. When I work with clients and they get out of pain and they finally have peace in their lives and they're not in pain, they freak out. They don't know what to do. When we have space in our life, in our day, we sometimes flip out. We don't know what to do. Because sometimes when we are that person who's in fight or flight, who's very busy, who's overwhelmed, they're people pleasers. We're perfectionists. We're go-getters. We're goal setters. We accomplish things. We push through. And then all of a sudden, we're overwhelmed and we shut down. And that's where I've really seen a pattern with a lot of my clients. They don't always like to reach out for help. They don't like to ask for support. Are you that way, where you just don't like to ask for support? But just think what it would be like if you could say no. It's going to open up a large window of things, of space, of time for you to have hobbies, self-care, go get your nails done, go get a massage, go for a walk. Because when we have stuff that our heart wants to do and we long for it and we can't have it, it hurts. And it shows up. And there are people here watching who can't get out of bed in the morning. who face complete anxiety and dread. There are people who are overworking and doing for everybody else right here, right now with us. And what's under that? Did you have parents who were really, you got to do this, got to keep going, you don't have time to play, you got to get your work done, you got to get straight A's, you got to be really good in school? Yeah. Well, what is it for you? How are you on a scale of 1 to 10, meaning I'm a overachiever, I'm a 15, right? Or are you the other end of the spectrum where you just kind of wake up and you don't know what to do and you don't know how to do it. You just kind of, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. I talked to someone today who bought one of the little packages to have a session with me, and I talked to her a year ago. And she's made some progress, but it wasn't a lot of progress. She, a year later, was still in the job she didn't want. She was still in pain, still didn't create a community of family that she wanted a year later. So we get in these moments of moods of depression, anxiety, and we shut down and we freeze. So there's the opposite. We freeze and we don't do anything, and then we beat ourselves up that we're not doing anything, or we do too much and we're exhausted and then we get burnt out. Yeah. So what to do about it? First is awareness, and I'm just hoping I'm shedding the light on some of the behaviors, some of the things you might be doing. And I just want to give you permission. How about this? I want you to give yourself permission to do nothing, to pause. What if you, after watching this, how about 5 minutes? No TV, no internet, no radio, no music, nothing, no phone, no talking to anybody. Just be there in that peace with no noise. You can lay on the floor, really ground yourself if you'd like. What would you do? And I recently was coaching with a guy named Tim Grover. He has a book called Relentless, and he's trained Michael Jordan, one of the best basketball players, Kobe Bryant. And I know, guys, sometimes those emotions get so strong. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, Tim, sometimes that emotion, it's like the stress, it just gets so strong and I can't shift it. I know you tell me it's a mindset thing and you just need to shift it. Well, you know what he said to me? He's like, you just got to face your fear. You just got to go into a room and just face it." And it's like, interesting. So when we're in overwhelm, one step you can do is just notice it, right? And hopefully I've got you guys a little calmer. I hear they say my voice is calming, right? It's part of my training as a therapist. But I want you to just notice how maybe you've shifted, maybe the volume of the busy day is kind of calmed down, it's more chill. So the first thing is just noticing any emotions. If it's anxiety, if it's depression, just notice it. If your head is spinning, going everywhere, just notice that. Let's pause right now and let's just watch it. We're not going to resist it. We're just going to let it be there. And we're not even going to label it as good or bad. We're just going to notice it, okay? Are you able to slow down a bit? Are you able to notice without judgment? And now here's a little trick. And this is a trick you could do easy. I want you to imagine that there's a light switch inside you, in the core of your being, the center of your being. And if it's overwhelm, we'll call it overwhelm. It's on right now. That switch is on. If it's depression, it's on. If it's pain, it's on. That switch is on. It's up. So just notice that. And now, simply just turn off the switch. You can close your eyes and turn off the switch of that feeling you don't want to be feeling, and just see what that feels like. turning off the switch. Yeah. And one last thing brings out your inner child. Sometimes it could be, and I've taught you this if you've been watching me, is just letting your eyes wander around the room and just settle. Just kind of notice what you notice. It orients you. It makes you feel like, hey, I'm safe in here. The tiger's not chasing me. I'm safe. And if that's hard, because I know some people get really activated no matter where they look, they think of all these problems. I have to clean this. I have to do that. Oh, I hate that couch. I don't want it anymore. Oh, that picture. Every time I look at it, it reminds me of my mother. So don't do that then. It's triggering. Or you can find something pleasant. And sometimes it's going outside and just being with nature. I don't think I can find much wrong with that. But depending on your nervous system, you could look out at the mountain and you can remember a time where your dad and you went on a trip and there was a car accident and then you just get stirred up again, right? So all of this stuff just goes on in our bodies all day long. We just have to get slowed down enough to notice it. That's how it goes. So another easy way, if you can't use your eyes and orient that way, because moving our heads and turning is actually a safe response instead of just running for our lives, right? This is primitive reflexes here. We're running for our lives. And so what we can also do, which I found something this weekend at Target, and I love it. It's called a squishy. And I had to buy it because I just love things like this. And I was driving with my girlfriend. She was driving and I'm in the passenger. And we were just talking. And for you guys listening, we girls, how do I say it? We talk about everything. We talk about feelings. We talk about being mad at somebody or angry or how this person hurt me. And we talk about good things and we laugh, right? But I'm with my girlfriend and I'm driving. She's driving. We're holding this in my hand. And I noticed when the subject matter would get a little intense about feelings, emotions, hurts, I was squeezing. And then I go and I'd be like, oh, and we'd laugh and I'd relax. And then I'd squeeze it again. Try it. It's really interesting. But the key is to start learning when how your nervous system's responding to life, to the world, to the stories in your head. Isn't that funny? So what I also like about this is it's a really cool texture. It's a squishy. And it's a cool texture. They even have it on Amazon. And if you just look, it's waffled and it's got texture in it. And this is textured and there's different layers. So if you just study this here, kind of check in with your body as you look at this. So simply having something that you can hold when you're stressed out will be good. It's called orienting. It just brings yourself here. Yeah, it's present moment, but it's not. It's really just tuning into how your nervous system is responding. I'm not asking you to meditate or anything like that. And you can just grab the remote. You can grab the device that you're watching. Look at your computer. Look at the keyboards. Look at how the colors shift and change and the textures. There's something very grounding in that. So as we wrap up here, I want to see if you guys have any questions. I don't have anyone really responding. I know I've been a little MIA lately, but I'm going to be back here once a week doing some trainings here because I want to help people. I know that, well, I have this feeling because I was talking with somebody today and she was going to physical therapist religiously, but she wasn't getting better. And the physical therapist was like, yeah, just some of my patients just don't always get better. And I see that too. Because it's our behaviors, it's our lifestyle, it's our habits. And if we don't change those ones that aren't getting us towards where we want to be, then pain ensues, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain. And I always say, when is enough enough? When are you going to really start living? And if I asked you to think of goals, it's hard to think of goals sometimes. It's hard. It's like, oh, I'm in this box right here, and maybe I can think of a goal that's like a little bit out of the box, but I can't go up that high. I don't know how, that'll never happen to me. But what if we could think bigger? What if we could say no, and then we have more space in our day? You might freak out. A lot of people do. And that's habits. That's habitual. That's, oh, I have to work harder. I'm only good enough if I work harder. But seriously, what if you said no? You honored yourself, you put your mask on first, and then all this space comes into your day. That's when you can make the changes. That's when you can do the hobbies. That's when you can plan a trip and actually do it. That's when you can take up watercoloring. That's when you can take an art class. That's when you can plant your garden. That's when you can knit that quilt, make that quilt you want. Yeah. So that's all I got for you today. Just keep in touch with that switch, whatever the feeling is, the emotional or the physical pain. Turn it off. Even if it's just a break, I want your brain to start bringing awareness to what feels good, what feels pleasant. Even if you're in your stuff and you hurt and you're miserable and you don't think you can get your way out of it, if that's the case, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. But I want you to start rewiring your brain into what's good. And that could be that I'm going to hold something in my hand for once and I'm going to get out of my head and I'm going to just bring my awareness here. And then I'm going to find that switch and see if I could turn it off. All right. You guys have a great one. And reach out. You can reply to any of my emails. I read them all and I answer them. So I hope that you can break free from overwhelm, because underneath the overwhelm, that's what's causing the pain. And that's what's in your body when we're clenching the jaw, just like I showed you in the pictures with these little guys over here with these skulls. Okay. All right. You take care. Have a good one. And pace yourself. Pace yourself. And I'll be back, but I'm going to move it to Thursdays. Thursdays at 4 Pacific, 7 Eastern. All right. Take care. Break free from that overwhelm.